Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. Welcome back to our reading of Venu Gita. We are still in chapter 13, first part of Giriraja's Hari-dasa-varya. We'll finish this chapter today and we might just start the next one too. We're looking at the different ecstatic symptoms of Giriraj. We saw how standing of his hairs on his body were the grass, different kinds of sweet grasses that grow there for the pleasure of the cows. We saw how the tears flowing from his eyes are the different bodies of water, like the waterfalls and, Radhakund, Shamakund, like that. And the last class we were seeing another ecstatic symptom, that the stones on Govardhan Hill melt. They melt in ecstasy when they see the sweet confidential pastimes of Krishna with the gopis. And the proof of them melting, Vishaka points out that the proof of them melting is that there are places on Govardhan Hill where Krishna's footprints are embedded in the stones. Footprints, cow's hoof marks, places where he put his stick down, like that. All those are there on Govardhan Hill in different places. So she was describing one set of these footprints near Kusum Sarovara. And now another set at Shamavan or Shamkutir. And now we're starting here. At Dangati, where Sri Krishna often blocks our path, this is still Vishaka Devi talking, blocks our path on the pretext of collecting a toll. At Balaram's Dali, where Doka Dauji watched as we danced the rasa, and at Indrakund, where our Ravata offered his obeisances to Sri Krishna, the footprints of Radha Krishna, the crown of Balaram, and the impression of elephant feet are the marks in the now solid, once ecstasy molten stones of Giriraj. Vishaka concluded her story of the Leela at Shamavan and gave ample evidence on the melting stones of Giriraj. She then took shelter in the arms of Sri Radha, who, being pleased with her wonderful recitation, embraced her fondly to her breast. Stroking Vishaka's hair and removing 2 diamond-like tears from her eyes, Radhika said, "Priye, when you speak of Vanamali's Leela, I feel as if he is personally present, and I see the entire episode unfold before my eyes." Taking a pearl necklace from her neck, Sri Radha rewarded Vishaka and said, "Having whetted our appetite with the nectar from your bimba fruit lips, do not deprive me of the happiness I felt in the glorification of Giriraj. Please continue." Taking the instruction of Sri Radha as her own treasure, while looking at the bluish tinted necklace newly decorating her chest, Vishaka breathed deeply, adjusted her skirt, righted her veil, and said, "I have merely touched an atomic drop of the glories of Govardhan Hill. He is the great Rasika king of mountains, whose constant service to Sri Krishna and Balaram is beyond the comprehension of great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. To give further indication of his greatness, I will once again describe how the stones of Giriraj not only melt in jubilation, but are their source of jubilation, pramoda. Just imagine how the bare feet of these 2 brothers decorate the rocky surface of Govardhan Hill. The mention of Ramakrishna's bare feet touching the body of Giriraj conjured pictures of stones, thorns, twigs, and pebbles in the gopis' minds. In their ecstasy of fear, some Sakis shivered as if touched by a cold wind. Some Sakis' complexions blanched like the foam of milk, and some Sakis were on the verge of fainting away. To avert an impending calamity, Vishaka quickly added, "By Giriraj's grace, these brothers never feel any discomfort, but their feet are overjoyed by the unique sensations of walking on his surface." Sri Radhika, whose impending swoon was 1,000 times deeper than her friend's, spoke in a relieved tone. "Saki Vishake, quickly tell us of the pleasure felt by those lotus feet, which are soft and pinkish, like the newly sprouted buds of lotus flowers, and which are the rare treasure that cools the hearts of aspiring transcendentalists." Without hesitation, Vishaka replied, "The ordinary discomfort that one feels while walking on mountains is not to be experienced by Ramakrishna, their friends, or even their cows. Wherever they place their feet, the hard rocks become soft like cotton wool. Jagged surfaces become smooth like flower petals. Small pebbles fuse to form a continual golden surface, and thorns become decorative flowers to greet their way. At this description, the faces of the gopis lit up. Like a lamp entering a dark room, their faces glowed, their smiles beamed, and the happiness of love flowed out from their doe-like eyes. Now hear the wonderful service of Giriraj, which is unparalleled throughout Vrindavan, and which gives the pinnacle of happiness to those lotus feet. Although seasonal circumstances generally determine when the ground becomes hot or cold, Govardhan Hill compensates for the discomforts of climatic excesses in his own unique way. Just imagine this. Ushna kala susitanena sita kale ushnitalena. In the summer's heat, the stones of Giriraj become pleasingly cool, and in the winter's cold, they heat up and become comfortably warm. Can any of you match such service? Hearing such an unprecedented standard of devotional service, the gopis became overjoyed, and without a pinch of envy, glorified Govardhan Hill with words like, Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. Vishaka continued, as our Pranasaki Lalita Devi said, by their mutual touch, jubilation is felt by Govardhan Hill and the lotus feet of Rama and Krishna. So Govardhan Hill feels jubilation when touched by the feet of Balaram and Krishna, and Balaram's and Krishna's feet also feel jubilation by coming in contact with Giriraj Govardhan. Tunga Vidya Devi graciously interrupted, saying, Saki, is it not true that Giriraj's happiness is not only due to the touch of their feet, but also the touch of their pastimes? By the touch of Rama Krishna's Leela, the world is purified, and by dispensing such katha, Giriraj becomes even more jubilant. Smiling in happiness, Vishaka said, Tungavidya, whatever you have said in the past has never been untrue, and what you say now is without a doubt equally as sacred as the Vedic hymns. Because he desires the welfare of the world, Giriraj is always eager to arrange for the narration of Sri Krishna's pastimes. It can certainly not be otherwise. In this regard, before describing the service of Govardhan's caves and roots, there is one more obvious meaning of pramodha, which acclaims his greatness. Until now, it has been heard that Govardhan gives jubilation to Sri Krishna by his unparalleled service, and feels great jubilation at his divine touch and pastimes. By such pleasing service, by being a happy servant, Giriraj also incessantly pleases the gopis, the inhabitants of Raj, and indeed the whole world. After all, who is not happy when Krishna is pleased by his happy servant? This is the final meaning of pramoda. Truly overjoyed with Giriraj, the gopis cried out, Sadhu, Sadhu. Govardhan Hill, who was invisible to all except Radhika's Sakis, became embarrassed by their praise, but pleased to receive their blessings. To reciprocate their kindness, he sent a pleasing breeze in the direction of Yavat's moon tower, perfumed with the aguru-laden scent of Sri Krishna's body, and which was kept vaulted in a cave from a previous pleasure pastime. Oh, wow. So, yeah, Radha and Krishna and the gopis have pastimes in caves on Govardhan Hill. So it seems, and obviously when they're having those pastimes, then the fragrances of their bodies are emanating from them and being diffused throughout the cave. And then after they left the cave, that Govardhan arranged that the opening to that cave was sealed, and the fragrant air from their bodies, which combined together there in the atmosphere of the cave, was trapped within the cave. So now, to reciprocate, now he's blowing that fragrant air, a guru-laden scent of Krishna's body. He's blowing it in the direction of the gopis so that they can smell it. They can get the pleasure of smelling that. When the gopis caught scent of that wonderful aroma, their bodies thrilled in ecstasy. It was as if they had attained Govinda's touch, and for some time they became immersed in the trance of his association. Desiring to increase the pleasure of her Sakis, Vishaka Devi continued. At the conclusion of her song, our Radhika has mentioned the Kandara Kandamulai. This indicates the caves and roots of Govardhan, which are indispensable items of puja for Sri Hari's seva. Now I shall remind you how these wonderful offerings of Giriraj enhance the pleasure of Sri Krishna. The caves within Govardhan Hill are without limit. And if I were to possess a life as long as that of Brahma, I could not enumerate them all. These caves give great happiness to all, and are the places of Sri Govinda's many pastimes with the Gopas and the Gopis. In the heat of the summer, they provide cool relief from the scorching sun, and during the winter, they are a warm retreat from chilly winds. The caverns provide a nice sitting place for the cowboys when fatigued from following the wandering cows. When Krishna and Balaram desire to rest, they enter deep into a darkened cave and lay their transcendental bodies on the soft bedding provided by Giriraj. Absorbed in their pastimes of sleep, they dream of never-ending play, and when they are fully refreshed, they rise once again and continue with their active amusements. O gopis, you have all been party to the innumerable diversions in which Sri Krishna indulges within the cave's depths. The security and shelter provided by the close embrace of Govardhan's caves is unparalleled anywhere in Vrindavan. Security is very important for Radha and Krishna Lila because they can't get caught together. So the caves are very safe because there's only one small opening, and apart from that, nobody can stumble on them by accident or by search. So, opening her eyes wide, Vishaka Devi exclaimed, While Vrinda Devi decorates the many groves of Vrindavan from Radhakund to Govindastali, her efforts are humbled by the great opulence offered within the caves of Govardhan Hill. Who else but the king of all mountains can offer Ratna Pariyanka, beds made of jewels, Ratna Pita, seats made of jewels, Ratna Pradipa, lamps made of jewels, and Ratna Darsha, mirrors made of jewels. And that is not all. What about the smooth, glistening stones on the cavern's floors, which are unrivaled within the assembly house of Indra? Lowering her voice as she cast a glance toward Radhika, Vishaka said, At the southern extremity of Govardhan Hill is Sutalavana. At that place is a mind-enchanting cave known as Mani Kundala, which is the place of many confidential pastimes of Radha and Krishna. If any of you desire to know the details of our Ishvari's pastimes there, ask Champakalata, who is very partial to that area and is often seen to be in its vicinity. Smiling sweetly at the daughter of Vatika Devi, who was dressed in cloth resembling the brown plumage of the Chatika sparrow, and whose complexion was like a golden champaka flower, Vishaka continued, I think our Mishta Hasta, whose expertise in preparing unlimited sweets has won her name Sweet Hands, will desire to reside in this cave in some future life, so attached is she to the service of the divine couple at that place. So they're saying that Champakalata is very attached to serving Krishna's particular cave called Mani Kundala in the southernmost point of Govardhan Hill. Although the celestial demigods do not possess beds, seats, or mirrors made of diamonds, rubies, sapphires, or emeralds, such treasures are readily available within the secure caves of Govardhan, and outside them as well. While the cowherd boys play among such priceless commodities as playground amusements, the cows graze among them and sometimes scratch their backs and necks on the gemstone furnishings provided for Govinda. In my humble opinion, because Giriraj gives his entire being, including his caves, for the service of Hari, the word Suyavas can also be written as Bhuyavas. As for the various roots mentioned earlier, there are an abundance of edible kandamulani, which, when available, serve as snacks for the gopas, and are much favored by the cows. Some of these roots are sweet, like licorice. Others are tart, and some are sour. Whether taken alone or with the lunch packs, they are nourishing and tasty, often to be seen in the hands of the boys as they run after the cows. The tarumulani are the large exposed roots of trees, which, by their curvaceous forms, serve as seats, resting places, and in some cases, a source of much valued shade from the sun. At all times, they are a literal maze of amusements for the gopas, who climb under, over, and in between them, while sliding and swinging to their heart's content. Do these roots not reflect the good humor and parental concern of Govardhan Hill? The jubilation it feels at the touch of Krishna Balaram inspires Mana Puja, from within the very core of his heart, which manifests as the abundant water, grass, stones, caves, and roots. At this point, Vishaka Devi stopped speaking and looked into the eyes of her gopi friends as if hesitating to continue further. Receiving a smile of assurance from Lalita Devi, the corner of her eyes fixed on Sri Radhika, she began to speak softly, in hushed tones. From our Radhika we have heard of the touch of Ramakrishna's lotus feet as the cause of Govardhan's great jubilation. The word Ramakrishna may be understood explicitly to indicate the divine brothers Krishna and Balaram, whose residence is in Nandagaon, and who herd cows in the area of Govardhan Hill. According to the Amar Kosha, there is another meaning to Rama, which is sweet and beautiful. Nila Charu Site Trishu Iti Amar Kosha Ramaniya. When this interpretation is adopted as an adjective for the word Krishna, Ramakrishna means Ramaniya Yaha Krishna Iti Ramakrishna. That beautiful Krishna who is decorated with a personal opulence of sweetness. If we embrace this meaning in preference to the previous one, we will have to conclude that our Radhika, in her usual sweet and crooked way, is hiding her true mood from us, her most confidential friends. With this, Vishaka smiled with a feigned sobriety at her friend. In addition to his extraordinary quality of beauty, Ramate also indicates Sadakridati, or one who is always playful and makes others play in happiness. When Krishna climbs on Govardhan Hill, he makes not only his cows, friends, and gopis, but all living entities, both moving and non-moving, a part of his enthusiastic play. All in all, while speaking the words Ramakrishna, my feeling is that while subtly hiding her own preference, our Ishvari has spoken in equivocal language to allow her audience the expression of their own rasa. I offer my pranams to her. So she says Ramakrishna because the word Rama can be translated in different ways. So according to the person's rasa, if someone's in Sakya-ras, then they're going to read Rama Krishna as Krishna and Balaram, because the Krishna and Balaram are always with the cowherd boys. But if someone is in Madhurya Ras, they're going to read it as Ramate, as this Ramaniya Yaha Krishna, that it's Rama is an adjective describing Krishna and how sweet and beautiful he is. So she's saying that Srimati Radharani used this Ramakrishna so that she could conceal her preference for Krishna in Madhurya Ras, and she could also allow others who may be in Sakya Ras to feel her statement. Although inwardly pleased by Ki's words, externally Radhika expressed displeasure by shooting an arrow-like glance at Vishaka. She said, "Dear friends, the unlimited glories of this king of mountains is not to be understood in this pleasant chat. Still, one who lives for the service of Hari deserves our respect, veneration, and worship. Of this there is no doubt. One who is devoted to serving Sri Krishna should certainly be recognized as being very great. Our Vishaka has elaborately and expertly explained that among such great souls, Giriraj stands supreme. That I too may purify my tongue by the Mahima, the glorification of such a sadhu, please allow me to summarize what I have heard from our Shiksha Guru, Anuradha." Anuradha is Lalita Devi. So now Srimati Radharani herself is going to glorify Govardhan Hill. She says, "The best of all presentations offered by Govardhan Hill are the sweet grasses meant for the pleasure of the cows and calves. Giriraj is very, very intelligent, for he understands that pleasing Sri Krishna is most efficiently achieved by pleasing his most beloved associates, the cows and the cowherd boys. But this king of mountains is not a selfish spiritualist who cares only for his own benefit and leaves the world of suffering mortals aside. No, no, no," says Sri Radha, moving her index finger from side to side while sweetly shaking her head. "Sarve Sham Eva Ananda Vara Siddhi. Great souls do not only achieve transcendental pleasure, but they give pleasure to less fortunate souls. In that way, they destroy the miseries of this world. Sarva Dukkha Harana. If one asks how Giri Govardhan gives pleasure to others, the answer will be as follows. As Sri Krishna is the soul of all souls, by pleasing him with service, he automatically pleases everyone. But that is not all, she says with emphasis. The many facilities offered by Giriraj for his pastimes are an invitation for countless wonderful leelas, which, in his eternal quest for enjoyment, Sri Govinda cannot resist. After attracting Hari to exhibit daily pastimes in his vicinity, within their hearts Govardhan Hill inspires great poets to broadcast his amazing sports throughout the world. In this way, he sprinkles the parched jivas with the invigorating nectar of Krishna Katha, relieves them from the pangs of illusion, and elevates them to the regions of eternal happiness. But she's saying that Govardhan Hill has so many wonderful facilities for Krishna's pastimes that when Krishna goes there, he becomes enlivened to perform so many various pastimes, right? Just like when children enter an empty room, they're kind of bored. But when children enter a room full of, toys and things to climb on and all that, they get excited and they immediately start playing in all sorts of ways. So Govardhan Hill is the perfect playground for all of Krishna's pastimes with his friends, with the gopis. So when Krishna goes there, he gets inspired to perform ever new pastimes. And that poets like sadhus, they see these different pastimes in their meditations and they broadcast them throughout the world. And that way the jivas who are suffering in the forest fire of material existence get to drink the life-giving nectar of Krishna Katha. But it's all inspired by Giriraj. That's what she's saying. Is our beloved Govardhan expecting some remuneration for his great deeds? Never. In exchange for his unlimited service, he seeks only the touch of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and his associates. When he is blessed with such favor, when he is blessed with such favor, he expertly preserves such footprints on the smooth stones of his divine body. These are his supreme ornament and best decoration. Having achieved such perfection, that insatiable well-wisher of the world makes such footprints, the very touch of Govinda, accessible to those spiritual aspirants who seek his shelter. That's nice. So when Krishna walks on Govardhan, when Krishna walks on other places, when he's just walking in the dust of Vrindavan, the footprints are impressed in the soft, fine sand of Vrindavan, but they get erased very easily, right, with the wind or with other movements. But because when Krishna walks on Govardhan, in some places Govardhan becomes so ecstatic that it melts and the footprint is left there. So he's saying that because Govardhan Hill melts and he preserves those footprints for hundreds and hundreds of years, and he makes them accessible to devotees who go there seeking his shelter. Just like recently I went to Vrindavan, and we saw some footprints of Krishna in different places, and it was amazing. Like, it actually looks just like a footprint. Holding her two lotus hands to her heart, her eyes closed in intense emotion, Radha says, "Such unfortunate pilgrims touch their heads to Krishna's lotus feet, take him into their hearts, and feel unending bliss." Opening her eyes slowly and looking around, she says with great emphasis to her ever-submissive friends, "Sakhis, without a doubt, Govardhan Hill is the best of all devotees. There is no need to say any more. His actions speak louder than the libraries of the Vedas." Looking towards Govardhan Hill with large sparkling tears decorating the corners of her eyes, Sri Radhika impels all her friends to also turn their attention to him. Having appeared on the horizon of Yavat for the pleasure of the gopis, Giriraj offers his prostrated obeisances to them, whose love and devotion know no equal. The natural reddish color of his rocks reflects the divine attachment which possesses the butter-soft heart of Govardhan Hill. That is the color of Anurag. Its glow mixes with the afternoon shadows as some wonderful iridescent splendor. Yeah, so Govardhan Hill stones are like a reddish brown in some places, and it's saying that this red is the color of Anurag, or strong attachment, divine attachment to the Lord. Those stones on which Sri Krishna walked sometimes assume a soothing blackish color. Those stones where Baladev placed his lotus feet sparkle like white crystal, and those stones that receive the bhava of Radha put the color of molten gold to shame. That's why sometimes, devotees have Govardhan Shilas, and if it's a kind of a white, like a very pale color Shila, they'll say it's a Balaram Shila. And if it's yellowish, they'll call it a Radha Shila, like that. Although they're all Govardhan, and Govardhan is Krishna, but also Krishna is everything. The Krishna is the absolute truth. Everything. There's nothing that is not Krishna, but then there's also variety. Decorated with white cows, green grasses, crystal blue waters, multicolored flowers, birds of many hues, and an endless variety of trees, Govardhan Hill is truly the most colorful expression of devotional love within the three worlds. Where is such spiritual variety to be found in Vaikuntha? Gradually fading from the loving view of the gopis, Giriraj returned to his rightful place near Radha Kund. Left with an insatiable emptiness in their eyes, the gopis' hearts tried to substitute his place with a torrent of tears. By seeing Govardhan, the gopis were seeing Krishna, and better still, seeing his greatest devotee. In his absence, their lives felt devoid of purpose, and they began to cry, submerging in an ocean of separation from Hari and Hari-dasa-varya. I thought it was interesting how they're in Yava. It's quite far from Govardhan, maybe like a half an hour's drive. So from Yavat, you can't see Govardhan Hill. But because of their intense desire to see Govardhan, and because of glorifying Govardhan, and because they're all transcendental personalities, then Govardhan actually appeared to their vision. And then when they finished glorifying him, then he faded away. And then they were left in separation from him. So now we have the conclusion here of this chapter. This concludes the 13th chapter of the Song of the Flute by a very insignificant disciple of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, entitled Giriraj as Hari-dasa-varya, in which the supremacy of Govardhan Hill, who reigns above all other servants of Sri Hari, is glorified by a very appreciative Sri Radha to her own Gana, with such appreciation and love that he is obliged to appear before the gopis and exhibits the jubilation he feels at the touch of Rama and Krishna's lotus feet as a consequence of his great respect for them, and then exhibiting further extraordinary ecstatic symptoms such as the shedding of tears in the form of wonderful waterfalls, the standing on end of hair in the form of sweet grasses, and his perspiration manifests as the drops of water on stones, grass, and trees. Also offers a great variety of fruits for eating, roots for chewing, herbs for digestion, minerals for decoration, for not only Sri Krishna, but all his friends and cows. What to speak of the universally renowned caves, which are equipped with varied divine paraphernalia for his enjoyment, well known to gopas and gopis alike, and who is covered with special stones, which for Sri Krishna's comfort adapt to the weather, and are as soft as feathers and as smooth as silk. This Govardhan, so opulent in service to Govinda, certainly gains much pleasure from Sri Krishna's pastimes, which he distributes to the world through the pen of great devotees, making the hearts of the gopis very happy, although they feel sadness being bereft of his sangha, but remain pacified because they implicitly trust the expertise of Govardhan Hill to please their beloved Hari. Jai. Venu Gita Ki Jai. That's the end of chapter 13. So tomorrow we'll start chapter 14, which actually is a continuation. It's called Giriraj as Hari-dasa-varya, part 2. So for our readings, we'll have many parts here about Giriraj Govardhan. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow and relishing some more Krishna Katha. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.